Common values. Common goals. Common sense. The Common Sense Podcast with Semi Bird.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 13. It's been a while, hasn't it? Well, I'd like to say Happy New Year, but that's how long it's been. Welcome back. This is Common Sense with Semi Bird, candidate for Washington State Governor. There's a lot going on, but like with every episode, I have to start out by thanking all of you out there that are making this possible. Your support has been overwhelming. Your love is felt. My family appreciates you. We'll talk a little bit about that. Hopefully everything's working. I see that we have some comments over here to my left. Folks, if you see it, can you see me? And is everything working okay? I hope I get a thumbs up or an acknowledgement there. But welcome back. There's a lot happening. Wow, where do we start? King County. King County, the place where they said Semi Bird is going to get crushed. There's no way. He cannot win in King County. Why even try? This is not his place. Even though I was raised there, even though my mother brought me there for a better way of life, as a little boy of age 6, King County has been showing up, as with many counties across the state. So, don't think I'm forgetting about the rest of the counties in Washington State, because everybody says, well, King County, Pierce County, Snohomish County. Oh, no. This is Washington State, governor for all of Washington. Remember that. And all of the counties are showing up. Oh, my goodness. Where do I start? Clark County showed up, large and in charge. 76% for Bird for governor. Cowlitz County showed up, 78% Bird for governor. These are straw polls we're talking about. Straw polls. What else did we have? We had Benton County, 78%. There's more to come. Snohomish County came in, Bird for governor. Spokane County came in, Bird for governor. And there's more that I'll mention. There are more that I'll mention as we get through our podcasts. But oh my goodness. Skamania County, 93%. Really? Thank you. Not forgotten and loved. So we are doing great. Where they say we couldn't, we are. That's how we roll. What do I want to start? Where do I want to start? Where do you want me to start? Well, let's just go with the obvious. When last we spoke, or the last time I did a video, I spoke to you of the downside to politics, the attacks. And the attacks are there, but they don't own us. They don't own me. You cannot reside in my mind. I've said this over and over again. We talked about that open letter from Restore Washington. You guys remember that? Or they threatened me. They threatened my reputation. Essentially, save your reputation. They would ruin me. That's what they said. Well, let's just say my neighbors know much more about me. My former students at WSU know much more about me. My community knows much more about me. And that's fine. Because truth is love and love is truth. And I am not ashamed for how God made me. And that's it. Yes, I said the G word. Oh my goodness. That's right. Faith. I have it. I lean into it. How about you? Article 1, Section 11. When it comes to those things, freedom of consciousness, to believe, to not to believe, this is America. And so they came after me. Scorched earth, just as they promised. They came after me. They've come after my children. They've come after my family. And you see me smiling because there's a greater good out there. Human decency and civility. Even though the other side will not bring it, we will reciprocate that human decency that we're fighting for. So I'm going to look to your questions. We have a lot more to talk about. We're not going to go into the low, but just understand this and ask yourself this. Why am I here? Not simply to get into office, to fix this state, to bring financial accountability and transparency, fiscal responsibility, to actually bring about efficiency in government to save taxpayer dollars. We're going to get into this. But how about representing all citizens of Washington State? Not just the rich citizens of Washington State, not just one demographic of Washington State, but all of the people of Washington State. And although people will come after me and my background 30 years ago, 39 years ago, I've said it. It used to be where you would value a person's service to their nation. You would say, Semi, Bronze Star Valor, Purple Heart, you gave all for your country. I want you all to see how much that means to the people on the other side. And I'm not talking about the Democrats. We're talking about the Republicans in Washington State, those mainstream moderate Republicans that support Dave Reichert. You see what they're doing to me. So my service and sacrifice mean nothing. My family's sacrifice means nothing. And there's no level to which they will sink. I want you to think about all of you out there. Have you ever fallen? Have you ever made a mistake? Have you ever hoped for a better life? This is why I'm running. This is why I'm here. It is clearer to me than ever before. We have a political class that has said, Semi Bird, you are not worthy. How dare you step out of your class to rise up to run for governor? Do you not recognize where you belong? Do you not recognize you don't belong here? There's no room for you here. You are not qualified. You are not viable. So what we will do is we will show you, and anyone like you who dares to step outside of your class to get involved in politics in Washington State, says those mainstream Reichert Republicans, that's what they're saying. What say you? Do you believe this? Do you believe that a person can rise above? Do you believe that a person can grow forward? Or shall we hang or lynch them for the rest of their lives? Whatever they did 20, 30, 40 years ago, no. We will find it. We will dig. We will find it. We will bring it out. Do you remember those PDC complaints that these same individuals, right, that Restore Washington, these same individuals filed against me? Houghton, Hillard, Mr. Robert Parker, dismissed. The PDC said, we will not do any formal investigation. We find there is no reason to move forward with this. Dismissed. Consider that. So let's talk about Washington State. Let's talk about what we should be talking about, what we are going to do. What are our qualifications? So remember, I said to my constituents, I said to my supporters, my background's in military service. I have planning, strategy, execution, experience leading in combat, experience leading in civilian life, experience consulting leaders of large and small corporations, small businesses, leadership. I taught leadership. I wrote leadership. I trained in leadership. So do I know leadership? Does that qualify me to lead? You be the judge of that. Oh, after serving and retiring in the military, Marine Corps, Army Special Forces, combined military service, 24 years, I retired and I receive a check every month. Honorable discharge medals. Does my military service have value in what I bring to the table? How many veterans are out there? Did you learn anything? Do you bring value in what you do in your civilian job? Can you see the value that we can bring to Olympia? Leadership. That's right. I also worked for the United States Department of Energy. Director of Organizational Development. That's performance improvement. That's organizational performance. How is Olympia performing? How is Olympia performing? Are they efficient, effective? Are they spending your taxpayer dollars the way you want them to? Are they accountable? Are they transparent? How do you think those contracts are looking? Are we getting the best bang for our buck? How are we acquiring products and materials? Capital projects. Organizational Development Director, Acting Chief of Staff for a period of time, and I retired as the Director of Training and Leadership Development. Leadership, GS-14 out of GS-15 with the United States federal government. Military, top secret SCI clearance, SCI above, compartmentalized information. Background investigations at a top secret level, military and federal government. And then I retired from the United States Department of Energy. 2 retirements. And then I taught at WSU Tri-Cities, and I taught leadership, and I was the associate director of professional development and community education. Leadership. Training other companies to be more efficient, more effective. Training leaders to be better leaders. Imagine that. Imagine these skill sets. Imagine having a resume. Oh, that's right. I'm applying for a job, and you are the interview panel. You are the interview panel. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're bringing to the table. Knowledge, skills, and abilities to actually go in and get the job done. I've said it before. I'm not a career politician. I'm a career American. What does that mean? A career American, someone who's lived life. Like any other citizen of this country, of this state, I've lived life. I've done good. I've made mistakes. I've gotten back up. But do we not want everyone to be successful? Are we not here to lift one another up? Or are we? Or are we here to hold one another down? As governor of Washington State, let me promise you this. I have been there. I have seen it. I have felt it. I have lived in poverty. I have lived on food stamps with my mother, that single woman who raised us, that beautiful brown lady. And I've got to mention it, born in 1920. You want to talk about wokeism? What do you think it was like for her? But yet she raised me never to be a victim. She raised me to be strong, resilient, understand my self-worth, understand my self-respect, personal courage, intestinal fortitude. Rise up. When they bring you down, son, rise up. Son, you can. Never let them see you. Quit. You can. And again, many of you heard me say this. What did my mother raise me to be? An what? An American, not an American. So you understand, while I'm still here, while we are going strong, and we are growing strong, because for such a time as this, we are bringing those knowledge, skills, and abilities. We are not a victim. We are strong in our resolve to represent all citizens, to say we will lift you up. In a state where we have a broken welfare system that pays citizens, certain groups, just enough money to stay poor, it's time to bring trades. It's time to bring jobs, good paying jobs, to Washington State, not to keep people poor and on welfare and state aid, not to pay them. This is not a retirement system. This is a temporary hand up, not a handout with indefinite benefits. You don't help anybody that way. I have felt that. I have lived that. And I had that great woman as my role model who showed me, honey, do not give up. Do not give in. Look at me. I was born in 1920s. And you didn't hear me complain about the color of my skin. You did not hear me complain about how I was pulled down, dragged down, pushed down, how the upper class, that rich class, that wealthy class pushed me down, looked down upon me. My mother never played the victim, nor would she allow me to play the victim. And as she sits in heaven, I will not do her a dishonor by playing a victim myself. So I stand strong. I stand resolved to represent every citizen of Washington State, regardless of race, creed, or color. We are here together as American citizens, proud and yes, loud, to say we are bringing transformational change to our great state, our great nation. And that political class, that wealthy elite that gives abundantly, as that Restore Washington said, Simi Bird, the wealthy donors of Washington have chosen someone else. Dave Reichert, not you. That's where all that big money's going, not you. And I say that's okay. Because I'm not here just to represent one group or two groups. I'm here to represent all groups. And when we talk about the lawlessness in Washington State, it's in those impoverished communities that are hit hardest. Those impoverished communities that have this culture where hope is sometimes lost because they feel forgotten. They feel disengaged. And why is it that I was the only Republican candidate ever to go to Juneteenth, or ever to go to that emoji parade, ever to go into those communities and engage? That's a shame. the party of abolition, the party of civil rights, the party of women's rights. And now I am proud to lead and be a part of the movement for parents' rights. That's right, values. When everyone says it's about money and name brand recognition and who can win, and they perpetuate this message of fear. A vote for Simi is a vote for Ferguson. Fear. He doesn't have the money. He's got baggage. Let's pull him down. He's insignificant. He's non-viable. That's why I won't debate him. He's not worth debating. He's not worth it. He's beneath. But yet they will go out of their way. My friends, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's everything to believe in, to have hope, to aspire to a better and a brighter future for Washington State. And that is the cornerstone of my campaign, to represent solutions with actions, not fear, not calling names, not pulling anyone down, not saying that we're better than anyone, of the people, by the people, for the people. That's who we are. That's what we represent. Are you hearing my message? Are you hearing my message? I am saying, regardless of your past, if you were a heroin addict, if you were an alcoholic, if you served time, if you did something wrong, if you fooled around and you shouldn't have, and you did wrong and you did right now and you're doing good and you have a family and you are blessed and you are living your best life, you are valued and your self-worth is respected and appreciated, and your next governor will lift you up and cherish you as an example to all who will listen, that you overcame adversity, that you stood strong, you stood up, you said, no, I'm coming off the streets. I need help. I'm getting that treatment. I will not be a victim. I will not be a victim. And we will not hold you down. We will lift you up. That's right. And we will celebrate you in the life that you have chosen, a better life for you and for your family. And we will never tear your children down or your wife down. We will never put you in a position where you see tears on your wife's face or your baby's face. We are not that. Leadership is what Washington State needs. We don't need any more division. And as many of you have known, you've heard me say this, we are not here as Republicans and Democrats and independents. We are here as citizens of Washington State, proud citizens of the United States of America. Together, united we stand, together we can. Does that sound familiar? Governor for all of Washington. There is no class system under a Byrd administration. All have value. No judgment. Enough of that. We were talking about policy, our education system. Right now in Olympia, they're bringing so much ideology into schools, and the teachers union have so much control within our school systems. And I'm not a hater on the teachers union. I love our teachers. As a matter of fact, I'm on a mission to give our classrooms back to our teachers so that they can teach the fundamentals of education, English and language arts, mathematics and science. We should be on a pursuit for academic excellence. I want Washington schools to be the academic centers of excellence for the rest of this nation. And that does not come with continuous financial support for a failed system that continues to bring divisive ideology and victimhood into our school systems when we should be focusing on academic excellence. So there must be accountability in our schools, just like there must be accountability in our state government. Why would we expect citizens and communities to continue to pay for levies and bonds when it comes to English and language arts, our school system, only 50.9% of all students are meeting grade level standards for English language arts when you average out all the school districts in Washington State, and only 37.9% are meeting math standards and 41.9% in science. But we graduate them at a rate of 83%, and we pay $19,000 per student. Do you see that We must do better. That math doesn't add up. We're not getting what we're paying for. We're not getting the value from our education system. But Article 9 says we have an obligation to ensure a quality education for our children. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. The governor has the right to appoint those members in the Board of Education. I will make sure that my appointees understand, non-politically, they have an obligation to ensure academic excellence in our educational institutions in Washington State, and we must hold them accountable to ensure our children. And we will make sure our children graduate at that highest level possible. And we will bring trades in, and we'll start in middle school with mentorship programs. From the inner city to the rural locations of this state, we will bring mentorship programs so children understand that law enforcement professionals are with us. They're our friends. They're our mentors, that electricians and plumbers and computer programmers, this is a better way of life. We don't have to go to a 4-year college to have financial success and wealth later on in life. Trades. And then when they get to 9th grade, we start that junior apprenticeship program. So when they graduate, with job placement partnership with small business, they're lined up with a good paying job upon graduation. And that company that hires them can continue their education or their apprenticeship program to a next level if they wish, but they have a good paying job. This is what I'm talking about. This is one of those solutions with actions that we can bring into our education system. This is what we must do. And partnering with our parents to respect the fact that parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's upbringing, to respect the empirical science that when parents are involved in their children's education, that children perform better academically and acclimate to their educational learning environment better, which facilitates the aforementioned. Yes, we will. And we will, on day one, I will bring forward a resolution to support, love, and respect our law enforcement officers. If these initiatives don't get passed, which I pray they do, and they should because they make sense. They make sense. And why hasn't the speaker brought them forward? That is my question. She should be held accountable, and we must. But they will be on the ballot, and we must push hard to support them and ensure that every citizen understands that those initiatives bring the change that we need in our communities. They bring value for every citizen. But we will ensure that our law enforcement professionals have those shackles released, taken away, so they can do their jobs and make sure that they are resourced. Again, Washington State ranks the lowest, the bottom, the lowest of all 50 states. We have the lowest amount of law enforcement professionals. And our crime is out of control. Our crime is out of control. So I want you to know simply this. We are bringing the solutions. We're going to hold prosecutors and those judges accountable. No more revolving doors. We have written on this. It's on our website, birdforgovernor.com, birdforgovernor.com. We've written on it. We've written on education. We've written on homelessness. We've written on the lawlessness. And we signed it. I signed every one of those things so that you know. I'm going to write a resolution that will identify that my administration will value law enforcement. We had a shooting of a state trooper the other day. My prayers are to that trooper and his family. Our love is with our men and women who represent us to protect and to serve. And we're going to knock out this craziness where we're putting your lives at risk. We're going to start enforcing our laws. There's so much to say in that. Okay, my friends, there's probably a lot happening on here on questions for those of you who have tuned in. And forgive me, I'm not forgetting about you. You're probably fired up over here and saying a lot. I'm going to get my mouse fired up over here and get to looking at your questions. Let's see what we have here. And I've got some questions that were also sent in. So guys, if you asked a question, feel free to put it back. I'm looking for a question mark as I scan through. Let me see. Oh, I love it. And thank you. And I think this was from Ben. You know, the people can see the truth, right? and you can't let them get to you. And that's true. And we're not. We're human beings, my wife and I, and I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but I think I kind of told you, and what I said was true. I've got a high schooler. You can look into that, and you can figure it out. But Ben, thank you for your kindness and your compassion. And let's see what we have here. I'm just looking for questions here, and I just want to make sure I'm not ignoring anybody. Someone says about the latest news coming out of Spokane and Yakima, and this is from Randall. Randall, if you have something, let me know. I know Travis is saying pretty much the same thing. Let's see here, and if we can get to it. Got you. So this was a hit piece. Thank you, Randall, for bringing it up. This is a hit piece where it said in the news. So this came from one of those Republican individuals who started putting out in social media. They dug back 30 years ago to where I was a volunteer sheriff's deputy, and there was a delay in returning my issued firearm and 2 uniforms, and that was because my roommate, we were renting home from his mom, and he accidentally grabbed my box. I thought, and he moved to Kansas City, so I assumed he had my box there, and I worked hard to try to get it back. Apparently, he put it in storage. Long story short, they lost their minds. I told them, I'll pay for it. I'll fill out any paperwork. I'm trying to get a hold of my roommate. They weren't having it because it doesn't make sense, right? How can you? They essentially said I stole a firearm from a sheriff's department. How can you steal something that was issued? But that's okay. We're not going to go there. They recovered it. They dropped all the charges, but they put me through holy you-know-what, right? And then dropped everything. And what was the reasons? Well, they requested it be dropped. And why? Because I was telling the truth. And it was verified that I was telling the truth. And it was in the interest of justice, as they said. As they said, there's a court document that is also now coming out, circulating, Randall, as you probably know or don't know. So, again, I don't hide from it. But justice. Martin Luther King Jr. said this: injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So here I was 30 years ago. And now we're talking about it. Randall, thank you. We're talking about it. Why? Is it because I reoffended or, oh no, there wasn't an offense. There wasn't a crime. There wasn't a crime. I was falsely accused, but we're talking about it now. They're calling me a deadbeat dad. They're all these names. They're attacking my character. They said they were going to do it, but why now? You guys, can you tell me why now? Why now? Oh, that's right. I'm trying to serve my fellow citizens of Washington State. I dared to step above my class. I got in the way of the establishment candidate and his support network, those big money donors and that political class said, how dare you? And they told me in an open letter, they put it in writing and they sent it to all of you. And they said, save your reputation or else we will ruin it. And well, there you have it, my friend. There's an example. You can falsely accuse a man or woman, in this case a man, of a crime that he never committed, a ridiculous one. And then you can retry him in the court of public opinion 30 years later. And why? Because he chose to serve his brothers and sisters of the state that he was raised in and the state that he loved. Because he dared to do better. He dared to believe that he could make a difference. He dared to care. Guilty as charged? Yes. Guilty as charged. And I will continue to care. And I will continue to move forward. And why? You all know. I have something in here that is so strong that nothing can take away. No one can take it away. And it can't be bought. I can't be bought. You already know, I've told you. They've offered a lot. Simi, we'll take the slandering away. We'll take the vilification away. Lieutenant Governor, you'll have a check for your campaign. You'll be good. You'll be good. And they'll love you. But I won't love myself. And my wife and I agreed on this. So we stand strong together as a family, and my children love me. And really, that's what really matters, is it not? My honor's intact. So, Randall, I hope I answered your question, and I appreciate you bringing it up. And imagine that. That article was out there loud and proud. But what are all the other coverage? Oh, that's right. We're winning. Now we're winning the conventions. We already won the state caucus. Did you know that? Did you read it in the paper? No, you didn't. Because the paper first came out and they said Trump and Reichert expected to win the Republican state caucus. And then they pulled the article after the state party leadership put it on his personal page. And then they put the truth that, oh no, it's leaning Byrd. Byrd is winning the state caucus. But no one ever reposted that article. That's okay. I get it. And let me just say this very clearly for everybody. I'm not bitter. I understand. I'm not the chosen one for you. It doesn't mean you don't like me. It doesn't mean you think I'm a bad person. It's politics. I get it. After the convention, I'll be here. No apologies. All forgiven. My hand will be out, and we'll move on together to save Washington. We'll do that. And then after we win the primary, the same deal will apply. My hand will be out, and then we will unite, and we'll move forward to save Washington State and represent and lift out of despair and poverty all those citizens that are suffering in Washington State. To roll back those out-of-control taxes, because I'm going to put a moratorium on all tax increases for Washington State for my first term in office. No tax increases. Why? Because on day one, we are bringing in an audit of all state programs, all state offices, because we know we are going to save billions of dollars just by making Washington perform more effectively, more efficiently. That's right. When I retired from federal government, and after I was done teaching at WSU, I opened up my own business as a consulting firm. Performance improvement was my job. It was my occupation. That's what I consulted on. And we were fortunate and quite successful at doing it. Performance improvement, helping organizations perform better, do better, leaders be better leaders, as I said. We're going to do that for Washington State. We're going to save billions of dollars. And the reason we don't have to raise taxes anymore, which is really out of control already, is because we're going to be giving tax relief. That's right. Not these fishy tuna chicken checks that Bob Ferguson was putting out for all the wrong reasons to all the wrong people. And then he blamed it on Experian. Oh, it was a mistake. It was a contractor. That's not leadership when you blame others for your own errors on judgment or leadership. No. We're bringing tax relief to the citizens of Washington State because we've been taxing and spending for too many years, and we don't need the money. We don't need the money. We need to perform better as an administration. This is it, friends. I'm not here for my own ingratiation. I don't need position or title or anything else. I just need to ensure that I have a great state to retire in and my children have a great state to live in and retire in. So I'm here to serve. Simply that. How can we overcome the Democratic vote in Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia after the primary? So this is something I'm going to roll out here in the next week or so. I'm working with an organization. There's a system, and it's going to be wonderful, and I will put this possibly in next week's podcast. It's awesome. It is going to be a fail-safe for election integrity, and there's your teaser. There is a fail-safe for election integrity, and we're bringing it. Yes, I could sit there and say poll watchers. Yes, 100%. We could talk about ballot boxes, but not just ballot boxes in conservative locations. That's nice. But we need to go out and engage people and bring them in. Not isolate them, bring them in. But we also need to ensure, and that's going to be a surprise that I'm going to let you know, This is a technological breakthrough by an organization that values election integrity as much as I do. And then once we get in office, yes, I support in-person voting, voter ID, cleaning up the voter records, and making it mandatory and enforcing that law, actually, that we're doing it. Do away with the ERIC system. There's a lot to do. And did I say voter ID? If I did, I'll say it again because it's worth saying again. That's right. Election integrity. Both, this is not political. Every citizen wants that, right? I mean, I know I do, and I bet you do as well. So, Taylin, it's good to see you, my friend, and thank you for, actually that was Mike, but Taylin, it is good to see you. So, Mike, there's your question, and I didn't answer it in thorough. I just gave you the generic with the generic response, poll watchers and that, and we have been meeting with county auditors across the state, and we do understand the ballot chain of custody, which is the issue, which is why we must have a system, and I would just say that brings forward a checks and balances, right? We need to ensure it. And we can't just take it on faith, but we must act. Self-governance is the phrase you've heard me talk about since I started my campaign. Self-governance is we, the people, standing up, getting involved, getting engaged. Like many of you that are going out and participating, you participated in your PCO caucuses, you're participating in your legislative district caucuses and your county conventions. This is self-governance. You're getting engaged. And now we need to tell your teenagers that are 17, that are going to turn 18, we need to get them excited about getting engaged, and we need them voting, and not just one party or another party. We need everybody out there getting engaged, and that's what we're going to be bringing. That's what we're bringing. So our get out the vote, oh my goodness. In Special Forces, we called it unconventional warfare. It's a force multiplier. We can't do all the work ourselves. We need others out there, and then they get others, and then they get others. It's the concept of force multiplication. So we're going to do it. It works. But the right message to all of the citizens who have been disengaged, and it's not just younger people. There's older people who have never voted, I have learned. And then there's people who are disenfranchised because they see the knuckleheadedness, the corruption within the system. They see that class system. They see the political warfare that's taking place. And they're like, I want nothing to do with it. And that's why I say, it's not about Democrat or Republican. It's not. It is this uniparty establishment that thinks that they're better than us. They think that because they have the money and the power that we the people, oh no, we're here to be played like marionettes. No, that's not America. That's not a constitutional republic where power is inherent in the people. And through self-governance, we hold true to our heritage and to what our founders intended. What is your stance on gun control? Oh, so let me just go there. This is our Second Amendment. This is Article 1, Section 24 of the Washington State Constitution. Our Washington State Constitution gives us more power or more protections than our Second Amendment does. I value our Constitution as the foundation of my governance. And so what I will say to this is simply, we're in the Ninth Circuit. And so Judge Benavides made a ruling on this. It's unconstitutional what has been done, the assault weapons ban, the mag capacity ban, what they're doing to Gators guns, how Bob Ferguson has been weaponizing his office against the laws that have been passed. It's not guns that kill people, right? It's people who kill people. And it's mental health issues. It's social economic issues that start off early. There is so much to this. American Psychological Association did a huge study on this. I've read it. We have the solutions. We're going to restore our Second Amendment rights. Article 1, Section 24, again. Read it. I support it. I will restore our constitutional rights back for our citizens in Washington State. Plain and simple. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. I hope I answered your question, my friend. But the Ninth Circuit, we are in the Ninth Circuit. And this took place with California. And there's still something going on with that. So they pushed back on it. It's already gone to the Supreme Court. It came back. So we have amazing people here in Washington State. We have an amazing gentleman running for Attorney General, Pete Serrano, a dear friend of mine. Pete's, oh my goodness, this man is on this. And I will tell you, he is another person. It's the rule of law. It's the Constitution. His heart is big. He cares about everyone. And so I'm looking forward to Pete's campaign and what he's going to bring when he's elected. Excuse me. So we talked about the Second Amendment, and there was a couple questions on this. And so I appreciate both of you guys asking this. And there's a person that I met in Spokane, a young man. He says, do you have a plan to protect, a policy to prevent China from buying up farmland in Washington? And I appreciate that. And then also to lower the cost of homes in Washington state. And so I've already spoken on this, but it's worth mentioning because, some folks are new tuning in. Some folks are new getting to know me. So I spoke on this on social media publicly, which is the way it should be. So you can hold me accountable for what I say and what I write. That's why I sign things. We will bring forward, under Article 3 of the Washington State Constitution, the governor is allowed to bring forward and propose legislation. And so before I take office in that next January, I will have it already written legislation that says that if you are a company, even if a third-party company representing the Chinese Communist Party, you have a certain amount of days to sell that property at fair market value, or you will lose it. We will no longer allow the Chinese Communist Party to own property in Washington state. Our farmers and our growers provide a national security benefit for us in Washington state. Food security. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the program in which larger organizations benefit, but yet smaller farming or agricultural organizations are struggling. We don't talk about how the Department of Ecology is weaponized. We don't talk about water rights like we should be talking about. All these things I will be talking about, and we will be pulling back on that because those organizations fall under my jurisdiction as governor. And I respect and support our growers and our farmers of Washington state. It's a matter of food security, national security, Washington state, economic security as the second largest industry, second to aerospace. Oh my goodness, it's common sense. But our nation, our state was founded by those growers, those farmers. So we're going to honor them, we're going to respect them, and we're going to make sure we support them. So I can go on, but you asked about homes and housing. As someone who has been a general contractor, and someone brought something out about that too. So in case someone sees this thing, they said, well, there's a judgment against Simi and for this X amount of dollars. And this during the shutdowns, COVID, I think everybody got a bite of that. Everybody got hit by the shutdowns. I had two companies operating. I had a construction company and I had my consulting firm, my performance improvement and leadership development firm, and both were shut down. I mean, job sites were shut down, and we were struggling to get contractors in the job site. I had employees that I continued to pay. We had equipment that we had to pay for. I continued to pay. I did not miss a payment, right? And I'll be putting my credit report online because that's probably going to be what they're going to come after next, my financials. So don't worry, I'll put that on there, and my DD-214 and my medals and everything else. I'm tired of the nonsense, right? I'm not ashamed, so I'll put stuff out. Right? Because I know they're going to come. That's just anyway. So we were struggling. I had a building that I had a nice office in, but again, because of the shutdown, because of the mandates, is a mandate a law? No, it's not. It's not. I mean, you could say stuff like, well, it's enforceable as if it is a law. That's double talk for no. It's not. Again, I'm a constitutionalist. So if you want to vax, you want to mask, you mask, vax up. You want to put something in your body that hasn't been approved by the FDA, but you give those pharmaceutical companies a waiver against liability, but you don't get a waiver in case something happens, myocarditis. Okay, you do what you want to do. I'm for protecting. Oh, that's right. Article 1, Section 1. Powers inherent in the people. Government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed, and it's government's job, this governor's job, to protect and to maintain the individual rights of citizens. That's my job. So this governor would not shut down our state, will not shut down our state, shut down our schools, right? I'm not the guy who would ever support this, write into the Seattle Times an article or praise Jay Inslee for how he handled COVID. I'm not that Republican running for governor that would do that or say that, because that response to COVID killed people, ruined people's lives, caused financial hardship. And as I was saying, as an owner of a construction company, they shut down our job site. We did not have the workers. And then when we did get subcontractors, and thank goodness I was licensed, bonded, and insured, but we had a client that had substandard work done. And as a general contractor, licensed, bonded, and insured, I took full responsibility. And guess what I did, Robert Parker? Guess what I did? I paid out of my pocket, $60-something thousand out of my pocket to my client. We wrote the check. Why? Insurance was going to come around, and they did. That's what happens when you're licensed, bonded, and insured, right, according to the state law. So there's always these truths that are in. But the hardship of shutting down businesses, how many people lost their way of life, lost their jobs? How many law enforcement officers did we lose? How about the ferry system that was decimated by that? Oh, I can go on. Oh, there is just too much to talk about, and I don't want to bore you guys. Am I boring anybody? I just want to get through a couple more questions, and I said to myself, I'm not going to sit here and talk all night. So we're gonna answer maybe one or two more questions, and then we're gonna shut it down. I so much on the Second Amendment, and I get it. Constitutionally, it's a big deal, right? If they can take that away, what else can they take away? Let me see. Someone says, how do you plan on healing the fractured party in Washington State and get it back to conservative values and away from party politics? You know what, my friends, I'm gonna end with that because I have to. I promise, and I do have another obligation after this. But let me just say this, because this is important, and oh boy, I appreciate you guys out there. I really do. All of you, thank you. Party politics. George Washington's farewell address, 1796. George Washington, maybe I've said this to you. I got a bunch of stuff going around in my mind, but George Washington said in his farewell address, he warned us about national unity, right? Unity and partisanship, the dangers of that, and how it would create that political elite class, that wealthy class who would control us in a nation that is a constitutional republic in which the people, through self-governance, if you are willing. Elizabeth Powell said to Ben Franklin as he was walking out of Independence Hall, Dr. Franklin, what have you done? What have you created? Is it a monarchy or a republic? And many of you know his response was, it's a republic, ma'am, if we can keep it. If we can keep it. And Dr. Franklin knew back then that if we do not exercise self-governance, Jefferson himself said, without the habit and training of self-governance, the political system is all sail and no ballast, which means you set sail from port, shortly thereafter you capsize and you sink. This is what we're seeing within the party structure. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, your party should be there in service of the people. It may have different ideologies, but it should be in service of the people, by the people, for the people, all of the people. And that is not determined by how much money you have in your bank account or what you look like. Someone tell me I'm wrong, and don't you dare. This is America, and we are Americans. And in this nation, it does not matter what you look like or how much money you have in your bank account or what faith you have or don't have. This is America, and we are Americans. And that Constitution is there to protect us from government and not to regulate us, but to regulate government, to hold them in check. I mean, you stop and think about that. And one last thought. I told someone the other day, I told an audience, this is a 1776 moment. And I'm not talking about revolution. I'd like to say a revival of sorts. But what I'm talking about is simply this. Name brand recognition and all the money. But you know what? The British Empire, how's that for name brand recognition back in 1776? And the resources and the money they had. My friends, simply this. I leave you with this. I want you to think about it as I put this up on the screen. Think about anything that this nation has ever accomplished that was worth accomplishing. Women's rights, I mentioned that. Giving women the right to vote, recognizing that they are equal to, and I would say, my queen, my wife, if not better, right? Giving them their rights, respecting them as our equals, as they have always been. Civil rights. When they look down on us, that political class, and all those who look down on us, we the people, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, endowed by our Creator to certain unalienable rights, which among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is in our founding documents, our Declaration of Independence. My friends, if you want to know who I am and what I'm about and why I'm here, that is it. That is it. Call me crazy. Call me radical. Am I a right-winger? They call me right-winger, ultra-MAGA. Yeah, I want to make Washington great. Again, I was raised in Seattle. I don't recognize it. I was raised in Washington State. I don't recognize it. We can do better. We will do better. Go to birdforgovernor.com. If you care about the future of Washington, if you want to invest in a campaign that represents all of the people, we are going to win this thing. You delegates, thank you for getting involved. Thank you for exercising your self-governance. We're going to show up to Spokane, ready to win, and with your support, with your help, and with the donations and support of everybody watching this, we will once again overcome. As I said, all those things that have ever been worth winning. We always started out as the underdog. We were always on that wrong side of that power group. And they had all the resources. But where would we be if we did not take a stand and fight for what we knew what was right? Where would we be? Go to birdforgovernor.com. God bless you. God bless Washington State. And never compromise your values for $1. Washington is not for sale, and neither is Semi Bird. Thank you. God bless you, and have a wonderful evening.